Right, I think we're live, everyone. Welcome to the 12 o'clock show with Mayor Joe. Are we live?
Yes.
All right. Hopefully, we'll have Commissioner Kevin Boyce joining us here in a little bit. If not, we'll just move into some of the other fun stuff. A lot of things on the show today, a lot of things coming up. So we'll hold off for Commissioner Boyce here, but we'll jump into some other things. First thing we have on the agenda is Reynoldsburg City Schools. A lot of things going off on there. They had their finance meeting last week, talking about the school's finances. Coming up in a couple of weeks, they'll have the next board meeting. But as always, board member Neil Whitman has his Graham Road open house, open door office hours every Friday from 3 to 4. Part of it is live, part of it can be off the official video record and things like that. And I did finally get an update, which is a really good one. Let me pull up the information right here on the purse bingo. So you remember the Reynoldsburg Education Foundation actually had their purse bingo not too long ago. And one of the things that they did is they generated a lot of different funds for trips to Washington, D.C. They raised over $6,000, actually $6,277 for the eighth grade field trip, plus some of the scholarship funds. So it was an awesome one to go there. They even had a couple of people sponsor individual students moving forward as well. So that was good. So kudos to the Reynoldsburg Education Foundation and everybody that went out and won a purse. My wife was not happy. She did not only not win a purse, no one at her table did. So they had to enjoy a couple of mimosas just to pass the time with the rest of it. But it was a good time all the way around. I know the school year is winding down, but athletics is still going on. And we have another possible championship opportunity here. So you've seen the banner out in front of City Hall. The Reynoldsburg esports team. Yes, it is esports. Yes, it's a real thing. I think 2 years ago when Reynoldsburg won the state championship, they actually had people get college scholarships right on the spot. So they're on the way for their state championships this weekend. So good luck to them as they play. It's usually the same kind of top 3 or 4 teams. Reynoldsburg is kind of the dynasty team in there. So good luck and best of luck to them as they move forward. We have the Reynoldsburg Boys Basketball Camp on June 2nd through 4th at the Summit campus from 5:30 to 8:30. Go ahead and check that out on your Reynoldsburg Athletics page. Check it out on Facebook, but some good information there. And now we get to the really exciting stuff, code enforcement. As you can tell, the weather is warmer and grass is growing. So code enforcement will be out in general. We are going to institute again No Mow May for those that would like to participate. No Mow May is an effort to increase the opportunities for pollination throughout our community. It will only last through the month of May for No Mow May unless you decide to get an actual pollinator garden permit from the city. It doesn't cost anything. You just have to register with the city so that way when code enforcement drives by and they see property that to the untrained eye may just look like somebody didn't cut their grass, but for everyone who's done the pollinator work, looks really well. So there are a couple of locations out there for that one. So keep an eye out for that. We'll be back at council next Monday to kind of talk some more details. But the rules for your pollinator garden are very simple. They have to be 6 inches, no taller than 6 inches in the right of way. So that area in between the street and the sidewalk that typically the city kind of controls in that one, that cannot be any higher than 6 inches. And it does have to be 3 feet away from your property line. So keep an eye on that one. Some other cool things going on. The Reynoldsburg, well, actually, the West Licking Fire Department is actually having a levy. Next Wednesday, they are going to be having a fire levy open house. And that is going to be at the Taylor Road Firehouse from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock, and they're going to be talking about their levy. We'll have a representative from West Licking Fire next week, but basically the rule or the numbers are $51.92 per $100,000 would be what would be assessed. And if this is basically a continuing levy to maintain the services that are in existence right now. They have had, as an example, the number of runs in the West Licking district from in 2015, they had about 5,000 runs. They're expecting to hit almost 10,000 runs. So double the runs in the last 10 years. Obviously, a lot of that is due to the growth on the eastern side of Reynoldsburg and into Etna Township and things like that. So again, have a great opportunity for that. And I did want to pass along an opportunity for everybody out there. If you had seen the news last week, there was a tragedy. Oh, never mind. Kevin Boyce is going to be joining us here in just a moment. All right. Commissioner Boyce is joining us live. We are live here on Facebook. Thank you, Commissioner. I appreciate you taking the time to come out today.
Absolutely, Mayor. So good to be with you today.
So I've got a couple of questions for you. Basically, first of all, I hope you're having a good day. It's sunny out for a change in Central Ohio, and I try and enjoy those as best I can.
You know, it's been a long time coming. It's been tough. I'm actually um, preparing for a trip to Los Angeles. My son's graduating this weekend from college, and I was thinking, oh, I'm gonna get some sunshine. But now the sun's here, so who knows what it'll be like on the other end.
Well, I'm betting California is going to be pretty nice all the way around, but we'll see. So congratulations. It's always
Thank
good
you.
to see that.
Yeah, it's
So,
exciting.
first question I have for you, because people are a little bit more familiar with what city council does or what a mayor does, but as far as a county commissioner, what are you actually responsible for?
It's funny you say that, Mayor. When I first got elected county commissioner, I was running around and talking about it, and people said, "What does a county commissioner do?" And so I spent time talking about the role of a county commissioner. So a couple of things I would say to focus on the county. When you think of Franklin County, think of your court system, the jail system, the welfare system, the children's services system, Department of Aging system. All of those are sort of human-centric oriented institutions that fall under Franklin County, and all of them are designated under state law. The other way to think about Franklin County is to think about it in terms of um, uh, unincorporated areas of the county, such as, so obviously Reynoldsburg is an incorporated city. And so those places are not, while they fall under the county's overall jurisdiction, they don't fall in our management jurisdiction. And so we're responsible also for unincorporated areas, such as townships and villages, and places that kind of don't have the resources to carry out things like water services or sewer services, drainage issues. All of those things would fall under Franklin County.
It's always an adventurous thing. I know we work with Turo Township on a lot of things, and it's hard for people to understand where, like when you look at a map, you can see the boundary lines, but outside of that, you don't know when is unincorporated Reynoldsburg versus Turo Town. Nobody really knows exactly, but I appreciate the support out there.
I use in Columbus, which I'm most familiar with because I served on Columbus City Council. I use markers like who picks up your trash,
Mhm.
what color are the fire hydrants, um, are there sidewalks? A lot of times you can kind of tell if you're in an unincorporated area by those kinds of things. Not all the time, it's not 100%, but a lot of times, that'll tell you the story.
Gives you a good idea. Now, as far as Franklin County, what do you feel are some of the biggest issues facing Franklin County this year and beyond?
Mayor, that's a great question. I think the biggest issue facing Central Ohioans, no matter if you're Franklin County or the city of Reynoldsburg, is growth. And that's a double-edged sword. There are so many positive things, but also negative things. Look, you can't go anywhere in Central Ohio and not see a crane in the sky or an orange barrel on the street. And it's an indication that we are growing as a region, and all the statistics undergird that trajectory. However, it's important that as we grow, that we don't leave anyone behind, that we provide the type of jobs, the type of housing, the type of recreational opportunities that allow families and people to thrive. And I think that's the hardest part, is to allow for the growth, but in a responsible way, in a way that allows our residents to live a high quality of life and for us to project onto what that means and what that looks like. From a Franklin County standpoint, we're thinking about it in terms of poverty. We are the safety net. We are the welfare system, and years ago, we always measured ourselves because of federal standards by the families that we serve. So you say at any time, well, last year we served 300,000 families with rent subsidies and food subsidies, et cetera, et cetera. But now we're taking the approach of how do we reduce our roles, and not just through verification processes that knock people off arbitrarily, but how do we change the economic mobility of each resident, each family, so that they can self-sustain their own trajectory, their own quality of life. And I think that is how we have to think. I think, Mayor, that we'll be challenged around levies that continue to come up. Those agencies all need the resources to carry out the services that they do: children's services, Department of Aging, alcohol, drug, and addiction services, school levies. But keep in mind, those are property taxes. And so they raise the cost of living in the broader sense. If we raise the sales tax, which is the main funding source for Franklin County, the sales tax is considered a regressive tax because it taxes everyone the same, no matter what you earn. It's consumption based, but at the same time, it's regressive because it taxes everyone the same. If we raise that, the implications are serious. I know the mayor has convened a what they call FRAC 2.0, which is essentially, I think it's called Financial Review Advisory Council. And what they do is they're looking at potentially tax increases. And all of those things have serious implications for our ability to change the economic mobility as we grow of the people who need it the most. We just passed a CODA levy. I was supportive. It's a great, I think, asset and resource for Central Ohio. However, it's a sales tax, and it impacts the same people that we want to help are going to be paying for the service through the form of sales tax when they buy things. And so I really think these are the things we have to be thinking about. And it doesn't mean we don't do them. It just means that we think about them in the most strategic and least impactful to those who need it the most. Think about it the best we can that way.
No, absolutely. And, Reynoldsburg is no unfamiliar territory when it comes to levies. Obviously, we have the luxury. I live in the luxurious part of the state of Ohio of having the highest sales tax in the state. We're in that little sliver of Licking County that is in Reynoldsburg that when you combine everything out, it pumps it up there. I agree with you. I was supportive of the Linka system. I think it will be overall beneficial. It's just one of those things that, you have to find a way to get it there, and hopefully we'll figure that out. Moving forward, do you have a specific focus or topic, something that is like kind of personal to you? I know that's easy because you have so many responsibilities in general, but is there anything specific to you that you're looking at that you want to try and take a handle on?
There are several things. One, I think in this conversation around poverty, it can't be business as usual. It's not simply about providing a rent subsidy or a food resource, but we want to think creatively about big ideas at reducing poverty. And so we created the RISE Institute, which is a nonprofit organization dedicated to the cause of reducing and ending poverty. And I think, we're going to spend a lot of time testing big ideas to address that. And one of those things that we were able to roll out was a program called Motherly, which really supports single moms who may hit that benefits cliff where they make just a little bit over the federal poverty standard, where it knocks them off the roll in other areas. Well, we've been providing that gap resource to help those single moms sustain, maintain, and even grow in that during that period, so that they can overcome that loss of income by their own economic mobility trajectory. So we'll focus on things like that and really try to do our best to keep costs down. I'm not a fan of raising taxes or raising fees at this point without a very deliberate and serious review and study of the need and the case to be made. You can't raise a tax and then tax the same people that you raise it to try to help. We've got to think of creative ways to deliver services and to live in a growing environment that is going to cause us to do different things. And so I'm going to spend a lot of my time really focused on that.
I think what I've noticed is the interconnectivity of everything that you just talked about, that no one entity, whether it's Franklin County, whether it's the city of Columbus, city of Reynoldsburg, we can't all do it alone. And everything that we do also impacts our school districts, our fire departments, and things like that. And there's everything that we have to try and figure out how to balance. And I think the cooperation standpoint, especially in Central Ohio, that I've seen in some of the organizations, is it's extremely pleasing to people, because it's not like this in other parts of the nation. That we don't always get the same cooperation levels outside of Central Ohio that we do inside, and that's a good thing, because these problems sometimes are a little bit larger. Like I said, poverty doesn't stop at the gateway of the unincorporated areas of Franklin County. It's pervasive. It's everywhere. And it's an opportunity for all of us to kind of address those things, whether it be with housing or transportation or any number of other initiatives.
You're 100% right. I mean, you've heard this mantra, the Columbus way, and I think there is a real such thing. In many ways, we do our best for the greater cause of this region. Reynoldsburg understands that how Franklin County goes, how Columbus goes, there's an implication on Reynoldsburg directly. And the same for Whitehall, the same for Gahanna, the same for Bexley. And so that is a very cooperative spirit, a very cooperative nature. There are going to be times where we bump heads. A lot of times we're competing for the same companies to come and exist. Sometimes we're poaching residents, we're poaching, people move around. And so I think just being more deliberate in the anti-poaching of one another, the sort of reciprocal agreements that exist, and really sacrificing as much as we can that still allows our community, our respective communities to grow, but sacrificing the sort of go after your businesses or go after your residents type of mentality that can sometimes eat away at a region and maybe destroy the underlying prosperity that could exist if we just think about it collaboratively, And so I think we're going to see more of that. One example of that, Mayor, is in housing. There's no secret that there is a shortage of affordable housing in Central Ohio. And what, I know Mayor Ginther understands all too well is that affordable housing just can't be concentrated in the city of Columbus. It's got to be a regional strategy, an approach where we all share in the idea that we are a big tent community where everybody can live. And what makes a great neighborhood, what makes a great city like Reynoldsburg is the diversity that it has, not just in racial or gender, but in economic scenarios. And so I think as we evolve in this stage of Central Ohio, a lot of that will be sort of called to the table on those things because there is a cooperative spirit, but we'll have to push that envelope a little bit more.
Oh, absolutely. I know that's when I've talked with other mayors and managers throughout the Central Ohio area. I'm always a big advocate for housing. That. We're trying to get our own affordable housing units here in Reynoldsburg, right across the street from City Hall, which I'm looking forward to do our part in addition to other housing, but other communities have to do it because, again, concentration of poverty does not work, and the opportunity for all communities to participate. We all benefit from Franklin County, and we all benefit from the city of Columbus. So let's make sure that we also share a little bit in that burden. And that includes communities that have been reluctant to do housing in the past. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, that's
Now,
and we as Franklin County, we've got to think about ways to support the culture of Reynoldsburg. Cities are as different as we are people. Even the suburbs, from that may sit right next to each other. Reynoldsburg has a feel to it. It has a culture to it. It has a lifestyle to it. People choose to live there for certain reasons, and it might be the schools. It might be their historical family's been there. What who knows? But we've got to I think we'll start to see that the challenges in maintaining that independence come out. The county has to play a better role at helping those communities maintain their identity. If Reynoldsburg has a standard of housing that it maintains, and the cost to do that has an impact on affordable housing standards, then maybe that's an area that the county can strategically come in and put resources to mitigate that upcharge. I'm just using Reynoldsburg because I'm talking to the Reynoldsburg mayor, but there are some communities that say, well, we only like natural exterior we require natural exterior to all of our code, and that raises the cost. We require a certain acreage of land when you build a single family home, that raises the cost. And so the county should be strategic with its resources to help mitigate that gap cost so that affordable housing can still occur, but at the standard and to the cultural element that defines places like Reynoldsburg and Hilliard and Bexley and Gahanna, Westerville, et cetera, et cetera.
Absolutely. My last question for you, because I know you're busy and obviously if you're getting ready to head out of state, and this is my favorite question I like to ask anybody because when you're an elected official, there's a lot of responsibility that comes with it, and sometimes people handle it really well, some people don't. But my thing is, I always look for like, what's everybody's favorite part of being an elected official? In this case, what's the favorite part about being a Franklin County Commissioner? You got to pick just one. I know there's a
Okay.
lot.
My favorite part is that the county represents the system that fights for those who are most vulnerable amongst us, youth and seniors. I can't think of anybody who would disagree that that should be a priority for quality of life in general. And the county, we're at the heart of that. And every day we do things that I know are impacts to quality of life for young people and for our seniors. For example, I've spent the better part of this year focused on mental health and investing in mental health. Every clinician that I spoke with during this time has said that mental health crises are on the rise. And so I've been able to shift some of our human services resources to this conversation about mental health and the resources available. So on May 19th, we're hosting a big conference at the convention. We're bringing mental health clinicians and wellness people from all over Central Ohio to provide resources to help people navigate through some of life's challenges. Since COVID, we've all sort of worked to navigate the new normal. And so we're going to be producing what we're calling sort of a resource book or yellow pages of mental health services that can help people just navigate challenging times. And I like being able to think creatively like that and then execute. And I can't think of another role that I've been in. I've been on Columbus City Council. I've been the state treasurer. I've been in the legislature. And I can't think of another role where you can just do that and produce so quickly than being a county commissioner. Maybe mayor, but you can move really quickly as a county commissioner.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate it. Nothing but best wishes for you, safe travels, and congratulations on the accomplishment of graduation. That's always a fun thing. So,
Thanks, my friend. I want to just say to shout out to all the folks who live in Reynoldsburg. I always love coming through Reynoldsburg, and I had the opportunity recently to charge up my car. I have an electric car, and I was like needed somewhere to go, and I found a charger that you had, and I just love what you're doing. There's a great feel to what's happening in Reynoldsburg. There's a great feel when you interact with the folks of that great city, and just want to say thank you, and hope to travel Reynoldsburg with you soon.
all right, appreciate it. We'll see you soon, Commissioner.
Okay, my friend. Take care, bud. Bye.
Bye. All right, everybody. Again, Franklin County Commissioner Kevin Boyce. Great opportunity to have a chance to talk with him. And there's no real easy way to transition it. So before he joined us, I did have a sad announcement. Some of you have probably seen in the news about a week ago, a young child from Reynoldsburg lost his life. There are a lot of issues that are surrounding this that are being dealt with the Franklin County court system. But the Reynoldsburg Division of Police is actually asking for donations for Ja'Kai Smith. Ja'Kai Smith is the 4-year-old that recently lost his life. And they're having a hard time finding how to properly have the funds for funeral costs. So any donation that you can come up with can be given to Detective Rubenstall at the Reynoldsburg Police Department, cash or check. All donations are going to be delivered to the funeral home by Detective Rubenstall. So that way, once the body is released, and we can move forward with a respectful burial for this young child who tragically lost his life. Again, feel free to come out to the police department if you probably might have the opportunity this weekend with community cleanup. It's unfortunate. If you do ever spot signs of child abuse, please make sure that you do report it. It is better to tell somebody, just even if you're not 100% sure, so that way professionals can make sure that they make their judgment call on that, so nothing more horrific can happen. With that, we also have a couple of other things. We've got 2 blood drives. The first one is actually going to be this Friday. It's going to be at the Reynoldsburg Library. which, believe it or not, this has almost been a full year. Actually, I believe tomorrow is the full 1 year anniversary of the opening of the Reynoldsburg Library, so that's pretty cool. But they're having their blood drive this Friday from 11 to 5. If you do go ahead and register, you can get a t-shirt while supplies last, and then obviously you'll be entered in a chance to win a gift card for $5,000. But the most important thing is you'll be saving somebody's life. So if you have the opportunity to come out on Friday, please do so. It typically doesn't take long, and if you've done it once, you know the drill. For those of you that are nervous, it's not near as bad as what it seems to be. If you can't make it this Friday and you want to plan ahead, Wednesday, May 21st, right at Reynoldsburg Police Department will be our next blood drive, and that'll be from 10 to 4 as well. All right, couple of updates. We've got Wagner Road update. So Culvert 1 is complete. That's locked. It's done. Everybody's got that in there. Culvert 2 is finishing up. Completion is set for late next week, maybe early the week after, the week of May 5th. Once that is complete, then the transportation system will kind of move into northbound traffic only from Main Street all the way until you get to around Amelia Drive. Once you get to around Amelia and that the new MI subdivision, you'll have north and southbound traffic is there. I would count on probably the week of May 5th that we're going to be making that transition. So we have a little bit more time. And so then the next question is, okay, so you got culverts done, you've got water lines done. What's next? So the next thing is actually putting in what is called stormwater. So these are basically getting all of the piping and everything to get the water flow from wherever it's coming into to directionally put it in a way that is beneficial. So what we're working at is, so they're going to start at Main Street on the east side of Main Street on the side where the gas station is. And what they'll do from there is when they get about 1,500 feet ahead, that's when the next crew comes in behind them and is going to start lining everything for the curbs and all of that stuff. So it's going to start moving a lot more, and you're going to see things visually happen more, where before you're seeing things underground and you can't necessarily see all the cool stuff. Now you're actually going to see a lot of that moving forward. Everything's still on schedule, and it is still on track for late summer, early fall. Once they get done from Main Street to Priestley, they'll be putting on down a base coat that'll be nice and all evened out and everything else like that. So no more bumps on that one. And then they'll transition right into phase 2 right after. Good news I did here is the traffic light is actually going to be installed at the completion of phase 1, which is good. So that traffic light will be at Priestley before the end of this year, which is a good thing because I know people were curious if they're going to put it in now or they're going to wait until phase 2. We will start to have some phase 2 meetings. So if you live on Wagner Road and you're past Priestley to Broad Street and you have property on that area, we'll be reaching out to you in the next couple of weeks to set up a meeting for you to come in and get an idea of what's going on. And then we'll set up individual meetings with you over the course of the summer about how it may impact your specific property. So any questions so far on anything?
We have about construction, which you just kind of answered.
Okay.
And then this one may have been when Commissioner was on. What do you think about rent setting algorithms that I hear some cities have started to outlaw?
Rent setting algorithm. I'll have to look into that. I know that the State House has prevented a number of things from cities and municipalities doing anything with rent, keeping it more market-based oriented, but I will look into that. And the next time I speak with the commissioner, I'll ask him. I just knew he was on a tight schedule today. All right, so now moving on to the next road project, Taylor Road. This is the Taylor Road Sewer Project. They have gotten through some of the little odd things in that area right by Kroger. So they should be moving out of that area and moving towards a little bit north on Taylor Road, getting towards on that boundary line. So for those of you that are looking at the farm, you'll see that there were 2 fence lines. Now there's 1 fence line that's pushed back. The sewer line is going to go under that area. And when that's complete, then the fence line will return to its original position. But this is only just to make sure that nothing gets out while we're putting in the sewer line all the way across. The project itself will probably last throughout most of the summer, but you only have a couple of more weeks where it's actually on Taylor Road. The rest of it will be on the farm property, moving east towards Summit Road from there. We do want to invite you to an open house for Boyce Road improvements on June 2nd. It'll be at the Reynoldsburg Library, and it'll start around 6 o'clock, and we'll go until everybody's got some questions answered. It's going to be very similar to what we've done in the past. Reynoldsburg was not successful at the RAISE grant a couple of years ago that talked about some improvements to Boyce Road, but this is going to be our next shot at it, and we're doing this in anticipation of earning the next grant funding from a different style of grant. But it will help narrow the road down a little little bit past the library, add some street trees and bike paths and things like that that'll kind of break up the gray in that area, which is something that we're looking forward to. And we've got a couple of other upgrades as well. So we'll have those kind of things ready for you to take a look at and get some feedback in. So keep your calendars ready on June 2nd for that. We also got in last week, as you know, council passed earlier this year a resolution to do a road survey. So this is where a company comes in and they test out the entire road structure of Reynoldsburg and they decide what's a good road, what's an average road, what's a bad road. So we just got that information in late last week, early this week. So we're starting to look at what roads take priorities moving forward. So I'll be talking more about that at the town hall, which I'll talk about that in a little bit, but we'll talk about that and then kind of get an idea of where everyone's going specifically for a little bit of work this year. And then next year, hopefully a nice big program for that particular one. We do have a couple of big things happening this weekend. The first one is our community cleanup day, which we've talked about a number of times. So we've got our community cleanup Saturday, April 26th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. All the usual things are there, including hazardous materials, latex paint, all that type of stuff, batteries and whatnot. We'll be taking appliances, cabinets, doors for volunteer Habitat for America or Humanity, clothing, books, and home goods, document shredding. Document shredding will be in the build, will be brought here, and then they will take and be shredded off-site. We also have medicine collection with RPD, respectful flag collection, as well as bulk trash items and electronics. And for those of you that are interested, Main Street is actually looking pretty good litter-wise. So we're going to actually shift our litter collection. So if you just want to help clean up parts of everything, we're going to actually have a station for litter cleanup at the Livingston Firehouse, the Truro Township Livingston Firehouse, basically right across the street from the Family Dollar in the urban air and that type of thing. So if you're interested in that, you can go right there as early as 9 o'clock and pick up some trash in that particular area. All the supplies will be kind of given out. We also have the Adult Cornhole League. So if you have not registered for that, that's actually starting in just over a week. It's May 6th through June 24th from Eastside Brewery from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. It's every Tuesday night, $40 to register, 5 players per team, things like that. Bryce Park is moving on. It's slowly starting to dry out a little bit. So they're going to be doing some things that you're probably not going to see, forming some of the pathways and stuff like that. After community cleanup, if you want to, you can head to the YMCA Healthy Kids Day. So there's going to be a lot of things out there. It's open to everybody. You do not have to be a member of the YMCA, but come on out to the YMCA from 12 to 2, get an idea of what kind of offerings they have, take a look at the facilities and have some great activities. I've been asked, I've got a book that I get to read to some of the youngsters that might show up for there. So if you want to come in, I'll be reading at about 1:30. Hopefully that'll give me enough time to get cleaned up from Community Cleanup Day. So come out to there. And then also that day is our grand reopening of the VFW. Now that the bridge is open again, it's going to be Saturday from 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. There's going to be some food trucks, music, games, face painting, all sorts of cool things going on. So check that out and support the VFW. It's a great facility and enjoy it because you can cross over the bridge now. And let's see here. We have Election Day is coming up in about 2 weeks, 2 weeks from yesterday. And really the only thing on the ballot for most of Reynoldsburg is going to be a ballot issue for the Ohio Public Works Commission. This is for the community infrastructure projects that the state provides money to municipalities for. It's called the OPWC grant. These are the grants that have helped pay for Main Street, Wagner Road, and Summit Road. So that'll be there. It does not increase your taxes. These are things that are funds that are already coming into the state. So when you fill up a tank of gas and some other permitting and things, it goes in there. And then the state takes out bond issues to help pay for everything else. So it's a beneficial deal for it. So I do highly encourage you to take a look at that one. If you have any questions, let me know. And you can ask me those questions tomorrow night. Really looking forward to this. I have no idea what the turnout's going to be. It's going to be from 6 o'clock until 8 o'clock-ish. So everybody who's looking at the NFL draft, probably have some time for that as well. But it's an opportunity just to ask some questions. This is not a structured format. I'm going to have a couple of things to go over to talk about what the development process actually looks like. How does the city get involved with property that we don't own versus property that we do own? How do we deal with restaurants, or how do we recruit businesses, things like that. Also talk a little bit about some of our street projects, traffic topics. And then the other part of it we'll be talking about is how does the city of Reynoldsburg work with other municipalities, the Franklin County, for instance, the state of Ohio, and the federal relationship. So if you can come on out, I'd appreciate it. Again, it's not a big slide presentation, only 5 and no pictures. There's not going to be any grand announcements for anything, but it basically is just an opportunity for you to ask questions about the city, the process, and everything that goes on. Any questions about anything right now?
Yep, we have one.
Okay.
What are the dump trucks going up and down Lancaster Avenue north of Main Street?
Lancaster Avenue, north of Main Street, they are probably, for the dump trucks, they're probably actually moving stuff from our service facility that's under construction. I know people have been asking about what's going on with the potential apartment site that's located right next to the church there. As of right now, that project is on hold. They have not been able to figure out their water quality issue yet. As we've talked about, they have to have the metrics in such a way that prohibit or allow for no additional water runoff. They haven't met those yet, so they're still reworking the engineering, but most likely those big dump trucks are kind of coming in from our service center, taking some stuff off of that site and taking it for waste areas. That would be my guess, because there's no other construction in that vicinity. Any other questions?
Nope, that's it.
All right. A lot of cool things going on also this weekend. Raider junior tennis Raider team is going to be out there at the usual locations for the cash drop. Last week, we had the baseball team. They were out there, and the community of Reynoldsburg was generous as always. And then I was in and out of the office last week. So my wife was on spring break. And so we had an opportunity to take a couple of trips. And it's nice to reflect on what Central Ohio is like. So we went to the zoo one day, which is beautiful, and they're going to open up their brand new North American system up in about 3 weeks from now. But it was a lot of fun to go out there. We took a trip out to the Dayton Air Force Museum because I'm a history nerd and I enjoy going there. And they've actually redone a lot of things there from the last time that we were there, but it's a great opportunity. So for those of you looking for things to do with your kids or things to get away, or if you just want to see really cool planes, because let's be honest, there's a lot of really cool planes there, head out there. It's about an hour-and-a-half drive, but the Air Force Museum is free. Check that out. Then we came back, picked up my youngest from college for the Easter break, and we went and saw a Raider volleyball game. So the boys did a pretty good job, came up a little short against Pickerington North, but it was fun seeing a lot of them out there again. And then the next night, we actually went and saw the Fury, the Columbus Fury women's volleyball team, which was actually engaging. The fans were fantastic. People were really working the crowd and getting people hyped up. There were some guys that were dressed up as a stereotypical mobster, but they called them the mopsters. So they had the black suits and the gold chains and the black fedora hats, and they were having a blast out there. But it was just nice because of all the things that you can do in the Central Ohio area, and it wasn't too far of a drive for Reynoldsburg. So lots of fun. Any questions, comments, or anything as we kind of wrap up?
Nope.
All right, so we'll do the whole thing where I finish up and then somebody will send a question in right as we end up, which is perfectly fine. Next week is going to be our next fireside chat, and we're going to have the YMCA director, Rupal Shah, come in and join us, as well as, and I know there's a big crowd out for this particular individual, Judy Dorn from our senior center is going to be here talking about all sorts of cool things that are going on for that. So there's a lot of things going on. We're in that time of the year where community activities are going to start picking up. We had planting trees yesterday. We're going to do some Arbor Day tree planting Friday here at City Hall. Then we've got community cleanup, and then we've got Plant Reynoldsburg coming up in May. All sorts of cool things going on. So please come on out and check us out on social media. You can look at our website and see what cool activities are there. All sorts of fun stuff. And with that, I hope everybody enjoys the sun and takes time. I'm sure I'll see a lot of you on Saturday morning at the community cleanup. But until then, stay safe, stay respectful. And as always, please put your shopping carts away because it's really not that big of a deal. So thanks, everybody. We'll see you soon. Any last second questions?
Nope.
See, I did that on purpose. I paused just in case. All right. If not, we'll see you, everybody.